everybody, and welcome back to the Colour Cave, where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Jem, and I am deliberately filming this introduction before I film the main part of this video because I don't really know how this is going to go. Some of you might remember a while back some antique style paper from Amazon, and there was all sort of different styles, and it's been winking at me sitting in these cabinets behind me, the paper's down the bottom. So I really wanted to try and do some sort of artwork with them. I don't even know if this paper is going to take any sort of medium, but we're going to try, and we're going to try and do a half decent job, and if not, then we've learned something, haven't we? So something a little bit different today, but I hope you're going to enjoy it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm quite excited about trying this out just to see how it goes, because as we all know, I like a good experiment. So we're going to get to top down view and we can get going. The paper that I was talking about was on my Amazon wish list, and it was actually Ashley who sent it to me. She has been one of my Amazon fairies. So first of all, can we just take a moment to thank Ashley very much for being generous and sending me it. This is the paper in question, and it came in this massive pack, and it's a way bigger pack of paper than I thought it was. But there are several designs, and they are all double-sided, so this is really nice paper. So exactly the same on the back and the front, and there's plenty to choose from, but they've all got that sort of oldie worldy, slightly distressed feel about them, and I absolutely love this. I do think that this is designed more to be writing paper than paper to do art on. It is very smooth and it is quite thin. I would say it's just slightly thicker than copier paper. So what I want to do is just do like a quick test run with what I've got here, just to see if this is going to be feasible, and if not, well, we'll have to come up with another plan. The other thing that I would like to do is, because there are literally hundreds of sheets, I am never going to use all this paper in my lifetime, and I was thinking of putting together a few little sample packs, just of like maybe 1 or 2 sheets from each print, and putting them in the cave stash. So if that's something that might be of interest to you, can you indicate that to me in the comments below, please, because that's a really good gauge for me to decide whether or not it's worthwhile putting them in the stash. So really what I want to do with that type of paper and having that sort of nice antique-y distressed feel about it, ideally I would like to be able to use these Winsor & Newton drawing inks on them, and I've picked out colours that kind of go with what we're talking about. I'll just zoom in a little bit so you can see a wee bit better. So I have black, which is the Indian ink, but I've also got 2 shades of brown. I've got peat brown and nut brown, so one's kind of like a warmer one and one not so warm. But I also have this gold metallic one as well, and this looks so pretty in the bottle if I just show you. And then what happens is all the metallic pigment sinks to the bottom, we can see that, but when you give it a really good shake, it all mixes together, and it's really nice, and it lays down really well as well. So I would like to test these out on the paper and just see how we get on with them. So I figured that they would be quite good colours to go with what we've got going on, but also I would like to be able to sketch out a design as well, and I want to use an F pencil, so that is somewhere between an HB and an H pencil, and it gives you a very fine light line, which I think will be good, but I need to test out the erasability of that. I'm not that confident with the subject matter that I've picked for this. I wouldn't be confident just going straight in with ink. I would like some sort of pencil sketch underneath. So we're going to try the erasability and see how much it wrecks the paper as well, bearing in mind that we're going to be putting a wet medium down on top of it. So I'm going to grab a piece of paper and we can try this out. So although this paper is different designs within the pack, it is all printed on the same paper. So I've just taken this sheet here. This is quite an interesting texture. Or should I say, it's made to look like an interesting texture. So we'll just do a quick test. Let's get zoomed in a wee bit here. And I just want to do a couple of pencil strokes. So see, this is the grade of pencil that I would be used to sketch on the paper anyway. I just want to see how well it erases and how much it actually damages the paper, because as I say, the paper does feel quite smooth. So learning a lesson from last time as well, from the Arteza watercolour sketchbook fiasco. That was an interesting video. I'll link that one in the end card and in the description for you if you want to go and watch that. Had a bit of a boo-boo with my paper. Yeah, so I wanted to try a couple of different erasers, and I think I'd probably get on best with a kneaded eraser, because that is the most gentle way that you can get rid of graphite, because it sort of lifts the graphite off rather than, you know, scrubbing away at the paper. So If I do that, I just want to see how much of it will actually lift, and you can see there on that dark patch that I sort of shaded, it has taken quite a lot of it away. Now with the different types of inks we're going to be using, I would like to be able to water these down as well, so they can become quite transparent. So the fewer sketch lines that we leave behind, the better. So that's lifting a reasonable amount, but it's not taking it away. But the paper is completely intact, so I'm just going to try and rub a little bit. Okay, I think we're good. Yes, we are good. Okay, that's excellent. So the kneaded eraser is definitely a win. Now, just out of curiosity, let's just do a great big patch here. Wah! I've got my electric eraser here, and obviously this is quite abrasive because this spins really, really quickly. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Just trying to like cut a line through it. And that's not bad. I do think it's starting to take the design off the paper. Yeah, it is. I don't know if you can see that discoloration. It's very, very slight. But it is kind of like lifting the print off the paper a wee bit, so that's maybe a bit too rough. The other thing I've got here is a plastic eraser. I think this is going to do the same sort of thing. Now that's not lifting the graphite as well, but it's doing the same as the Derwent eraser, and it's actually picking up some of the print off the paper. Okay, so kneaded eraser is the way forward, but that's really good to know. Now I know that I can do a sketch on this paper. Now I just want to try a couple of dilutions, but I also want to see what the ink's going to look like on this paper. Okay, so this is neat ink. And I can see straight away it is pulling, but it is soaking into the paper, and it's soaking in quite quickly. You can see that there. So that's going to give us a more diluted form. Oh, that's very diluted. I think I might have to pipette in a little bit more ink here. Oh, that's soaked into almost nothing, so you could get some quite delicate effects with that. Ooh. Now it would be okay if we can do this in layers and the paper's going to take it, then that would be really cool, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to do that. Okay, so there's a more diluted version. So I think we're going to be okay with the browns, although I don't think watering them down is going to do us very many favours. I mean, this is still quite wet, but the part that has dried, again, there's not really a lot going on there. Ooh. It's actually going down really nicely, and this is going to have a slightly different makeup to the other inks, so I think that's going to be really nice actually. I'll need to wait and see how it dries. Alrighty ho, so here we are all dry, and you can see there that where I initially put down the ink stroke has dried a lot darker than when I've pulled it out, but they are drying quite pale. The black, there's quite a bit of difference, even though I didn't water it down an awful lot, there is a huge difference in what's going on here, but the black's actually settled onto the paper quite well, and also so has the gold. The gold is lovely. You can also see there is a significant amount of buckling, which I fully expected because this paper really isn't designed for this kind of stuff. That doesn't mean to say that we can't use it. So I am quietly optimistic that this may be a reasonably good thing to try, and hopefully it'll be successful as well. So let's switch over to another sheet of paper now. We can get started on the actual artwork. So when I was deciding what I wanted to do for this, I asked around my locality, which is obviously Papa and Mama Jem, and obviously Mr. Jem as well just now. And Mama Jem said to me the first thing that sprung to mind when she saw the paper was an Egyptian feel, so something maybe like hieroglyphics, that kind of thing. So what I've done is I did a quick pencil sketch, and it is of Anubis, who is the god or the lord of death and that sort of thing. My Egyptology isn't great, but I do know a little bit. Mostly from playing Assassin's Creed though. My main concern here is not being able to get the sort of depth that I would like, you know, from layering, because I'm not sure that the paper is going to be able to take it, but I wanted to show you my initial sketch, and obviously it is just a sketch. I kind of know where to fill in the blanks in my head, but that was what I drew. And all I did was, when I was actually sketching it out, I just took a look at like loads of different interpretations of Anubis and sort of tried to draw my own conclusions from it. So I want to get the initial sketch down and get some basic shapes out, and while I'm doing that, I am going to decide roughly where I'm going to use what types of inks. you know, which colours I'm going to use, where I'm going to pop the gold in. And I'm going to keep these lines really light, so I'm not going to bore you to death with the entire sketch process, because you'll probably not be able to see what I'm doing for most of it. Again, kind of like with painting, you are going to be doing most of the drawing with the ink rather than your pencil, but you just need to have those guidelines in here. I know a lot of the time when I paint as well, I don't actually bother with an initial sketch, which is not something I ever thought I would be able to do, but you know, you just learn as you go. Okay, so I finished my initial sketch lines. I just wanted to zoom in a bit there so that you can see roughly what I've done. I know it's really difficult to print on this paper, but you can just see the outline of the eye shape, and I've got his ears in and a little bit of his snout coming down here as well. And that is really all I need to get going, because I'm going to build up the layers of this picture, hopefully, fingers crossed, with my ink. So we are going to have to start with some lighter layers first. So I've still got my palette from earlier. I just turn this around a little bit. And although this has started to dry up a wee bit, then this is actually quite a good point where we can lift some of this while it's still quite diluted, but it's not really, really watery. So I've got a number 8 round here, and I'm just going to start with a very sort of light layer to sort of block in the background colour. And I'm going to keep this sheet that we're using as a tester sheet beside me. Move these out of the way because they're casting a shadow. Just to test out what the colour looks like before I actually put it onto the good copy. So I just want to have a quick... Now that's really light, and I don't know if I would prefer that one or the darker one, the cold, you know, the kind of cooler colour, but I think I'll go with this first and just block in the sort of first shapes. And I'm going to try and do this, although it's soaking into the paper really quickly, I want to try and do this while it's quite wet. So I'm just planning out the direction I'm going to go in, you know, with my strokes before I start putting it down on the paper. I'm actually not too concerned because this is going to be an initial layer. It's not the end of the world. I think this is the walnut. Is this the walnut brown? No, this is the peat brown. But we're going to have his headdress up here. And this is really just to help me differentiate, because again, you know, if I'm kind of like not obliterating the line work, but the line work is not very obvious because it's brown as well. The graphite doesn't stand out too well on it. So just by using these two different shades at this point will just help me when I get to like the next step. I want to keep that sort of Egyptian eyeliner feel going on. Okay, I shall leave that to dry and I'll be back in a jiffy. So we're dry again, we're a wee bit buckled, but we're dry, and it's quite interesting because every time I come back through to this, it's like, oh look, this is dried like this. So this is as much of an adventure for you guys as it is for me. So I'm going to start working on some finer details now. So I want to get a smaller brush, and I'm going to go to my trusty Milan number 6 round. This is from the 611 series. I say this almost every video because I use it every time I'm painting something, but I love this little brush. And it's just, it's a really good all-rounder, and it seems to be quite robust because I've been using it for a while now. And I just want to try and start building things up a little bit here. I do want to keep that old sort of weathered look to it as well. And I just want a tiny wee line here. And I see this brush, although this is a number 6, it's got a really nice point on it. And look how delicate that line is. I don't even know if you can see that. I'll zoom in a bit. There you go. Yeah, look how fine that line is. And this brush is just lovely. Now we want to start getting the idea that there's contours here. So I'm trying to sort of go a little bit bolder here, knowing that it is drying pretty faint. I just want to start adding in a little bit of shadow here in the eye area too. We are going to have to wait and see how well this dries in though. I do kind of want to keep the sort of sketchy feel of my initial sketch. Okay, just because I feel like if someone was maybe doing something like this, you know, in ye oldie times, they maybe would have been using a sort of rudimentary tool, you know, it wouldn't necessarily have been a paintbrush as we know a paintbrush. And I think that would be quite nice to kind of just capture some of that a little bit. So I did a bit of a test here. This was like a sort of splodge test to see what sort of, you know, what would happen if I put down a really sort of concentrated layer of this particular colour. And it's drying really like a really strange sort of sepia. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to take this darker brown now. This is the peat colour. It is more difficult, I have to say, when there is significant buckling to the paper like this. You know, you are going to have to sort of navigate the undulations of the paper. if you keep a reasonably light pressure on the go, you know, if you're not hammering down, which you're not going to be on this paper anyway, let's be fair, it's not that much of an issue really. Okay, so I just want to, these are like more like just shadows I'm putting in here rather than contour lines per se. And I did ponder over the eyes quite a lot when I was doing the sketch, and it took me a while to figure out whether I was trying to capture an expression or I was just looking for more of that sort of vacant stare that one would maybe associate with a statue, which I don't know, I'm assuming that this would be a statue, not a portrait per se. So I was really quite undecided on that for a while, so I have deliberated over the eye situation for quite some time, and truthfully I never really came to a true conclusion. Oh, I've got something stuck in my brush. Ugh, I don't even know what that was. I'm sort of making a suggestion of the nostrils rather than, you know, with the negative space rather than painting them in. Again, I want this sort of like cheekbone type area to be quite pronounced. Okay, the paper's starting to feel it a little bit in at the eye area. I've gone over it so many times, so I think I'm going to have to really sort of decide whether that's going to be how I'm leaving it, so to speak. And you can see those earlier strokes that we had in on the base layers, they're really not causing us any issues in terms of, you know, the outcome of the picture, which is really good too. It's amazing how differently this sits on the paper compared to the other inks. And I know this is India ink, which has probably got a lot to do with it. But you can see it's really like pulling on the paper. It wants to kind of like, just like, what's the word I'm looking for? It just wants to bead up. That's what I was trying to say. Come on, Jem, spit it out today. I have been laughing at a lot, not laughing at your comments, but your comments have been making me smile regarding how brave in inverted commas I am with when it comes to new mediums and stuff like that. And quite truthfully, it's I always say that you can't be scared of these things. You've just got to try them and see what happens. And if it doesn't go according to plan, or it's not, you know, all that great, well, that's okay. These things happen. That is drying out a lot paler than I thought it would, and that's a good thing right now. Like, I'm happy with that. So yeah, I'm always saying, like, be brave and try things, even if you think you're not brave. It's only paper, and in this case, it's only paper and ink. The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to have something that you're not that happy with, but you will have learned a lesson from it for sure. At the end of the day, nobody has to see it. You can crumple it up and put it in the bin if that's the way you feel. That is actually something that I never do. Like, I never do that because I keep anything that's been like a total disaster for me, I keep it as a reminder of what not to do next time. And also as well, especially if it's the very first time using a medium, it's lovely to keep things like that and see how far you've come. And again, that's something I'm a firm believer in progress. With these kind of things, you don't compare yourself to other people. There is absolutely no point doing that. It's very destructive. And I am quite a, shall we say, competitive person. And especially having the channel, it's really taught me to not compare myself to other people. It's really, there's no need for you to do that because it's your own journey. Everybody has been arting for, you know, different lengths of time. Art is very subjective as well. It's very, very subjective. What one person doesn't think is nice or attractive or thought-provoking can be the complete opposite for someone else. And I think especially if you do stuff on YouTube like I do, that's the brave part. It's not the messing about that's the brave part. It's the fact that you're putting it out there on the internet, and there are plenty of people that will have a pop at you. But hey, do you know what? If it makes them feel better, then that's fine by me too. I don't need to worry myself about things like that. Right, I've been sort of mulling this over as I'm talking, and I've decided I'm going to introduce another colour. I still have my gold here waiting patiently in the wings, but I am going to add in another colour, so I'll be back in a jiffy. I'm just going to go pick it up and let's see what happens. Oh, that is so blue. And I want to try, oh no. It's quite funny because I was worried when I was earlier on, because I'm doing some home improvement type stuff today, I was really worried about getting white satinwood or gloss on the drawing. You know, just if it wasn't off my hands properly before I came back through to the cave, but clearly that wasn't what I should have been worrying about. I would say as well, if you're going to try something like this, not necessarily on this exact paper, but if there's something that you would like to have a go of on maybe less traditional paper, see using a paintbrush that you're comfortable with, it really helps. This is, oh, that's where I've got it from. I've just figured out how I got that ink on the side of my hand. My palette is really close to the ink bottle, which still has the lid off it, and I was resting my pinky on the on the edge of the ink bottle, and it's all over the desk. Brilliant. Like a shadow line down here now. Just spread that out a little bit, because I need to get some sort of contrast and depth in it, and you can see this side instantly looks much better than this side. I don't know if you can hear the sort of banging that's going on in the distance in the background. But Mama Jem has taken over the painting duties for me while I do this painting. Because we have one of our main sort of DIY stores or like hardware stores has opened back up in the UK, and we have access to things that we didn't have previously. We are having most of it delivered, right enough, but we have a huge amount of renovation to do. We moved the middle of February and we've not been able to do, apart from making the house wind and watertight, we really haven't been able to do anything, and it's kind of time to get going with stuff like that again. So that's what Mama Jem's doing today. Yeah, that's better. I'm a bit happier with that. Okay, I think what I'm going to do down this bottom part is I'm going to take my number 8 round, and I'm going to, with quite a wet brush, I'm going to go into this ultramarine, and I am just going to like, even this is just a really light wash around here. You know, I'm literally just using what's left on my brush. Okay, back to business up here. Okay, with my nut brown, now this is going to be undiluted this time. I am coming into these sections here. Now this is leaving an interesting texture as it's drying. I have got my gold. Now this is the really diluted gold, and that's basically just water and all the metallic pigment has sunk to the bottom. So I've got a clean brush here. I am going to take it straight from the bottle. Now they don't recommend that you do that in case you contaminate the whole bottle. But what I do is, with a clean brush obviously, and I'll take it off the brush and just dab it onto a clean palette. But apparently there's a lot of bacteria and things that can build up in it. It's not anything that necessarily that's going to make you sick, but it could compromise the ink itself. So I'm always careful to make sure I use a clean brush, although I'm not convinced that I would be too bothered about stuff like that. Right, here we go. So I'm going to put a layer of this down. Now we know how this goes down and how it dries, which is amazing. I'm just going to make sure that the pigment and, well, when I say the pigment, I mean the metallic particles, make sure they're well mixed into the rest of the ink, and we're going to do that down here too. I'm having a bit of an issue with the weather today, bearing in mind it's nearly the middle of May. It's snowing this morning. It's not lying or sticking or anything, but I'm like, snow, really? Really? Right, I think I want to bring this up here a little bit more. Now the last thing that I have here, and again this is something that I tend to do quite a lot, is I'm going to grab a fine liner, and this is a sepia fine liner, so it's not black, it's really weird shade of brown, and this is the tiniest line you're ever going to find in a fine liner. I don't even know if you're going to be able to see this or not, really, really small. And that is just to help me get some definition in some of these areas. So I'm going to leave that gold to dry a little bit. But I do have also here a gold gel pen, and I use these all the time. This one's nearly empty, and this is the Uniball Signal Broad in the gold, obviously. And I just really like this as a pen. It's pretty good, so I'm going to use this up here. And I do find that this is quite a reliable pen in that it seems to be fine on most surfaces. You know, it doesn't really matter what medium you've put down, but it seems to go over the top of most things, and I think that's why as gel pens generally they're quite popular. Weirdly though, I don't get on with the white one at all. I don't know why, but it doesn't like me, I don't know. Okay, so in around these eyes here, I'm just gonna, it's more like kind of hatching I'm adding in than anything else. Again, I'm just trying to kind of like up the contrast levels without taking away from the, you know, the idea behind it and what it may or may not signify. And maybe a little bit in here as well. Alright, so I just want to get some lines down in here as well. This is pretty dry. And again, this is just sort of what I would call casual lines. They're not meant to be anything in particular, but I just wanted to bring a bit more sort of texture. So I'm just a broken line. My gold ink isn't quite dry yet, so I'm kind of like manoeuvring my way around that. I'm tapping this very gingerly. Oh, okay, well, I'm waiting for that to dry. The other thing that I've done is, again, I'm not really up on stuff like this, but what I did do was I looked up the closest thing to my name in hieroglyphics, and I've taken a photograph. There is a website that you can go to, and I'll put the link in the description, and it says that basically it tries to recreate your name as accurately as possible using hieroglyphics. So I am going to try and replicate that rather than signing it traditionally, which I just thought would be a, you know, a kind of fun way to finish it off. And I'm going to do it with a brush because I feel like it should be done with a brush. Yeah, this is going to be really interesting. I'm really glad that my name's only got 3 letters. Okay, let's use this India ink here. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Now it goes top to bottom. Now I'm in the understanding that hieroglyphics could also be read from right to left, but a lot of them are like up and down. So we're going to go up and down. And I'm going to give myself plenty of room because I have no idea how this is going to go. There is a teeny, good grief. There's a teeny little triangle in the middle. And that joins up there like that. Oh, this is kind of cool. I'm kind of enjoying this part. Maybe I should have just done a massive hieroglyph instead. Okay, this one's not so good. I think this is supposed to be a bird of some description. Now, how I'm going to manage this, I don't quite know, but I'm going to do my very best. He's got a very flat head, and I'm assuming that this is supposed to be his feet. And then there's a little line across the middle there. Yeah! Oh, there we go. How'd you like that? Alright guys, I think I'm going to call it quits there. I'm gonna stop now. Quite while in my head. Oh, good grief. So there we go. There is the finished image on this excellent paper. For ink especially, I've really enjoyed this. I'm not really very happy about some of the aspects of it, but I am not expecting too much at this point because ink isn't something I work with an awful lot. I'm still kind of pleased with how the outcome has finished up, I suppose, and yeah, it's just a bit of fun and trying something different. What I think I will do though is I'm going to ram this in between a couple of pages of a couple of heavy books and see if I can flatten this out. I don't really want to iron it because I don't like ironing things, just in case, but I think we could get this a bit flatter and it'll look a bit better. So once I've done that, I'll maybe pop it on Instagram for you. But yeah, that is it for today. I've really enjoyed myself as per usual, I usually do, and I want to thank you for coming and hanging out with me, and I hope you have enjoyed this too. And we shall see you back in the cave on Thursday for another video. Have a good day everyone. I'm going back to painting my windowsills. Bye for now.